Knee-deep in the swamp. First place in your hearts. America First with Dr. G.
It's official. I'm finally allowed to talk about it. This Sunday, we are launching my new show, Gorka's Reality Check on Newsmax, 7 p.m. Eastern, repeating at 10 p.m. We're going to start with the future of the MAGA movement. Don't miss it. Newsmax, 7 p.m. this Sunday evening. We are going to continue here with America First of the Salem Radio Network, live streaming on YouTube, available on Rumble and across more than 300 stations right now. Of course, podcast as well, with the founder, the creator, the editor-in-chief of JustTheNews.com, John Solomon. Welcome back to America First.
Good to be with you, Seb.
So much to discuss with regards to the president's son, Hunter Biden. But first, you have a story near the top of your feed. Follow him right now. Jay Solomon reports about two different fundraising prosecutions that seems to just reaffirm those who say there is a two-tiered justice system in America. John, would you share with us and our millions of listeners some of the details?
You bet. Listen, this case about Imad Zuberi, a major bundler for Barack Obama and Joe Biden back in 08 and 09, is going to become a larger and larger scandal. We're learning more about it. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we reported that he was a U.S. intelligence operative at the same time he was raising money for Barack Obama. That's a red flag. But he gets in trouble because the Mueller team thinks that he's a guy that's given foreign money to Trump. It turns out he didn't give foreign money to Trump. He only gave foreign money to Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton's campaign. But they keep pressuring him to give up something on Trump. He doesn't have anything because he's not a major Republican. And so they throw the book at him. He gets 12 years in prison for straw donations, which, by the way, is perhaps one of the largest sentences ever given out ever in the history of straw donations. Then,
explain the straw donation. So that's misrepresenting the source of a political donation, correct?
You take some foreign money, you give it to people in America, and you say, donate this for me in your name, and here's a reimbursement.
Right.
So that happened back in the Clinton fundraising scandal back in the 90s. That was the first time we heard of straw donations. And during the last 5-6 years, particularly with the Obama team, there was a large number of straw donation cases. Almost nobody goes to prison. This guy goes to prison for 12 years, even though he's been a long-term U.S. intelligence asset. His only pressure point with the prosecutors appears to be over Donald Trump. So a couple of weeks passed by after that sentence, and here comes Gilbert Shigori, a guy who first we wrote about years ago when he was giving lots of money to Hillary Clinton's Clinton Family Foundation, a foreigner, Nigerian, and he engages in almost the identical behavior as Imad Zuberi. He's making straw donations. He gets one further. He actually gives a cabinet secretary for Barack Obama, the former transportation secretary, LaHood, he gives him a secret loan of $50,000 while he's in office, while he's a cabinet secretary. LaHood hides that money from the feds, doesn't put it on his ethics report. Despite all that, he gets a no prosecution agreement, a deferred prosecution agreement, a small fine, and he doesn't go to prison. So two cases, almost identical. The only difference between the two is one gave money to Trump and didn't have any dirt to share on Trump. He ends up 12 years in prison. That's why we have all these conversations about a dual justice system.
Now, you have had a political and national security and D.C. beat for decades. Let me ask you the first obvious question. How many times in your reporting, in your investigations, have you come across a bundler for any party, any candidate, who was tied to the intelligence services as an asset?
It's unreal. It's the first time in 30 plus years of reporting in this town. And, he's on appeal right now. And remarkably, the CIA's former top lawyer suddenly parachuted into the case to be his lawyer during the appeals process. I think we're going to hear some explosive things out of this case. And, one of the troubling things it raises is there's separation of powers. So if the agency is working with someone and they're then giving donations or hanging out with members of Congress, it could raise all sorts of separation of powers issues under the Constitution. And it begs the question, did the intelligence community know he was routing foreign money into the election year?
Is this a story, John, given he seems to have some kind of backbone, whatever the motivations are for the various things he did. The idea that he was pressured to generate something seemingly on the Trump campaign, which he refused to do, despite the fact that he was threatened and received this 12-year sentence, which is inordinately long.
Yeah.
Is there more to this story that you think, in various appeal stages of discovery, could blow the lid off aspects that we have no idea of at this moment?
Absolutely. Well, we're getting some idea because I've been going through discovery and documents and lots of different things. This man had a very large relationship with Joe Biden and Joe Biden's personal body man, former body man. There's hundreds of emails and text messages back and forth when Joe Biden's in the White House as vice president. We're starting to dig into that. It looks like there's some China business stuff going on there. So we're digging into that. I think that's going to be a big area. But the real question is, beyond potential issues like that, is what was the CIA asking him to do in relationship to political candidates? Did they ever recommend that he be involved with a lawmaker? What was he doing for the CIA on U.S. soil? We're starting to get some troubling inklings about that, and I suspect those could be the real bombshell revelations beyond the Hunter Biden and the whole Biden family thing in China. I think the CIA possibly using an American to target Americans could be one of the storylines that we could develop out of this reporting.
And even if this stuff or some of it comes out, do we have any expectation after the last 4 years that there will be any consequences for those who are involved in those new revelations, John?
Well, that's a great question because there's been almost no consequences for everybody in the last 5 years of revelations that we've had. One guy pleading guilty, not even going to prison for Russia. We don't know yet, right? I think that the key will be, what will this CIA lawyer, Robert Ettinger, former general counsel of the CIA, how far will he push the envelope in public and tell the American people what this guy, his client, was doing with the CIA, and why was he hanging out with Joe Biden's people? What's going on? I have dozens of photos of this guy with every imaginable elected official in Washington. And now to think about, at that time when he's taking all these photo ops and donating, getting involved, he was working with the CIA. It's pretty tantalizing to see where this story is going to go.
Do you think they're going to play those hard cards? What's your gut telling you, that they're going to drop some big bombs in the dock?
I do. One of the things I'm beginning to hear is the possibility of some form of a criminal referral or investigative request to the Inspector General's community. If you remember, that's how a lot of the other big scandals start. Hillary Clinton's email started with the Inspector General at the State Department. I would keep an eye on the intelligence community's inspectors general. I have a funny feeling there could be some developments on that front in the next couple of weeks.
If John Solomon's got a funny feeling, you can trust it. Subscribe right now. Just bookmark their page, justthenews.com. Check it out every single morning, every evening. Follow him at J. Solomon Reports. We have so much more to discuss with John with regards to Hunter Biden. But in the meantime, check out his book, Fallout: Nuclear Bribes, Russian Spies, and the Washington Lies That Enriched the Clinton and Biden Dynasties. I'm Sebastian Gorka, former strategist to President Trump. This is America First on the Salem Radio Network, live streaming on YouTube, available on Rumble, wherever you get your podcasts, streaming 24/7 at our website, sebgorka.com. We'll be back with John Solomon after these messages. Don't touch that dial. You're simply going about your life, running errands, picking up the kids, getting gas, or attending church. In a split second, a normal day turns into the worst day of your life. And while a self-defense incident may only take seconds, the legal fallout can last years. That's why I'm proud to tell you about U.S. Law Shield. They relentlessly protect law-abiding citizens every single day. For just $10.95 per month, you'll have immediate 24/7, 365 access to an attorney-answered emergency hotline and won't pay a penny in attorney's fees. Members also have direct access to attorneys for state-specific guidelines on firearm and self-defense law. Now, U.S. Law Shield is not a legal firm and is underwritten by third-party insurers in many states. State law and insurance regulations apply. So please see the website for the applicable underwriting company and terms of coverage. Call 833-4-GUN-LAW. That's 833, the number 4, gun-law. Or just go to uslawshield.com/America for a very special radio offer. You'll feel better having US Law Shield on your side. That number, 833-4-GUN-LAW. Or just go to uslawshield.com/America.
You're listening to America First with the indispensable immigrant, Dr. Sebastian Gorka.
I like that. We should use that on the TV show. The indispensable immigrant. Thank you, Jennifer Horn, for that liner. We are back with the indispensable media mogul. I like to think that I have a friend who's a media mogul. He's John Solomon, creator, editor-in-chief of justthenews.com, where I'm reading right now. We want to keep you up with the breaking news. Governor Asa Hutchinson, Arkansas, has vetoed the bill that would protect minors from transgender medical surgery and what have you. So Asa Hutchinson has caved. Also, we will cover later in the show the 2 teenagers who murdered that Pakistani Uber driver here in D.C. They're going to get a walk. They're not going to go to prison. Unbelievable. Just days in, they've struck a plea deal. We'll give you all the details. I guess Pakistani legal immigrants' lives don't matter in this city. John, I got to play for you this cut. This is from the son of the president, cut 3, Hunter Biden, CBS.
Was that your laptop?
For real, I don't know.
I know, but you know
I really don't know.
Okay.
The answer is.
You don't know yes or no if the laptop
I don't have
was
any
yours.
idea. I have no idea.
So could have been yours.
Of course, certainly. There could be a laptop out there that was stolen from me. There could be that I was hacked. It could be that it was Russian intelligence. It could be that it was stolen from me.
And you didn't drop off a laptop to be repaired in Delaware?
Not that I remember at all. So we'll see.
So, John, this is my laptop. I know it's my laptop. Aliens didn't take it. Russian intelligence didn't do an operation on it to give it to a store owner where I signed a sheet saying, yes, I want you to repair it. Of all the things that Hunter Biden said there, perhaps the one that touches you the most was, well, it could have been a Russian operation. Your reaction?
Well, listen, the intelligence community's already weighed in on this, saying that there's no evidence that this was a Russian information or disinformation campaign about the laptop. Several of the emails that we have extracted from that laptop in our reporting, we have authenticated with other recipients, senders, players. As recently as last week, we just did this in an instance where Hunter Biden was meeting with someone for an indicted Ukrainian oligarch to see if maybe they could get him off with the Obama-Biden State Department from the indictment. And the email we found on that laptop, the sender and recipient said, yeah, no, those are our emails. Yeah, we sent those. And the facts of around that email grew, and we learned from other reporting. So everyone who's worked on this has found authentication for the emails that are there. Hunter Biden looked very much like a politician in that interview, right? The non-answer answer. Not that I can remember sending to a laptop shop. It's real simple. We have the signature that Hunter Biden signed for the day that he turned in that laptop. If it's his signature, we're going to send that now to a FBI or law enforcement handwriting analyst and find out if the signature matches.
But
he'll have a hard time.
His lawyers demanded the laptop back. If
That's
it's not his laptop, what are his lawyers doing demanding the laptop back?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, these are all distractions in the media designed to get us to not have to talk about what's really on the laptop, what Hunter Biden really did, which is he went behind his father's Air Force Two plane and he collected foreign cash everywhere his father had a foreign policy responsibility. That is an irrefutable pattern. He cannot deny that pattern. We have the photos, the emails, the eyewitness accounts.
So what next in this ongoing saga? I think something's going to drop at justthenews.com. Can you give us a hint in the last few seconds we have with you, John?
We're going to follow the money on that the thing we talked to you about last week, which is Hunter Biden meets with the Russian oligarchs representatives to possibly see if he can help out the State Department. They then flip to another business deal. The Ukrainian oligarch's right-hand man puts money into an American business deal that, by the way, falls apart. He loses almost all of his money, like $3 million. And we keep following the money, and you're going to find an interesting landing spot for some of that money. Somewhere in an account where Hunter Biden regularly got paid.
If you want to know what's really happening in the swamp, you don't just follow John Solomon, justthenews.com. You got to follow the money. Go today, bookmark justthenews.com. Jay Solomon reports on Twitter. Can't wait for that story to drop. I'm Sebastian Gorka. Back to your calls on 833-33-GORKA. That's 833-334-6752. Thank you, John.